I am a man of no great talent. There was a time when I considered myself a master craftsman, an artisan of the trade. I have spent years and years perfecting my skill, hoping to be a master carpenter. And then I met him, someone that was able to far exceed my expectations, and to the point where I was not able to even continue on in my trade. He was a true master of the trade. And I realized that these calloused hands would not be able to compete with him. His name was Jesus, and he was from Nazareth. I apprenticed alongside him for 6 months. But this man needed no instruction. A second, maybe third generation carpenter. He had a talent that was beyond his years. He could look at a pile of cedar and say, that will be a doorpost. And he would look at some cypress and say, that will be a stool. And then I watched as he put his tools to work. And every time he did, it happened exactly right. The doorpost became a doorpost. And a stool became a stool. Perfect, exact, every time. I realized that there was only so much room for a carpenter in small towns. And so I had to pivot, think about something else to do with my skill. I went on to work for the Romans. Started hewing wood so that they could become crossbeams. I became somebody that crafted instruments of death, crosses. I'm not proud of that, but it feeds my family. And so my job day to day is to go to the place of crucifixion, of death, and wait for men to come that are being crucified and nail the beams together. As I watch the guards nail the men to the cross, and then I help those guards lift the crosses into place. Certainly not where I thought I would be at my age. But I go and I faithfully do this because it feeds my family. I stood 2 days ago at Mount Calvary, waiting for 3 men walking to their death, carrying their crossbeams. By the time they got to the mountain, they were exhausted, falling down, pleading for their life. 3 guilty men, ready to be hung, nailed to the cross. And so I knelt down, did my duty, started nailing the one man to the cross. And he looked at me, and I stopped, frozen in place. Certainly this could not be the carpenter, Jesus. What could he have possibly done? Somebody with his skill set, his talent, to now be here, ready to be crucified. I was in shock. frozen in place, and finally the guards pushed me out of the way, tired of waiting for me. Took the crossbeam and nailed it into place, and then they took those long nailed spikes and they nailed those spikes into my friend's hands. And I just stood there, dumbfounded on what to do. And then they raised the cross. And I stood there and I watched him die. I watched him as the guard speared his side and he breathed his last breath. Still just frozen in place. What could he have done to deserve this? I stood there until they decided to take his body off the cross, and some men came and laid him in a garden tomb. I went home later that day and I thought about my actions. Thought about taking the crossbeam off after Jesus was taken away. And by the time it had gotten down to me, my hands were bloody with his blood. I felt the guilt and the shame. Though I didn't drive the nails into his hands, I didn't stop them either. I went home and I wept for my friend. I sat there still wondering, what could have Jesus done? Maybe he struck a guard with a hammer. Maybe, unlike me, he refused to work with the Romans. And they sentenced him to death. Early this morning, there was a rumor going around town that his tomb was empty. Now, I don't know much about these things. I'm a simple man with simple dreams. But I could not figure out why somebody would want a dead carpenter's body. Now, some say that he's the Messiah. He's the deliverer for Israel, and everything points to him. But he's dead. Again, I don't know anything about these things. And so I wondered maybe if he's more than just a carpenter. I mean, he was skilled. He was amazing. But maybe that was just a little glimpse of Jesus' real talent and skill. Maybe he was more than a carpenter. Maybe he is the Messiah, and maybe he is alive today. And if he is, then certainly this man is worth following, worth worshiping, worth giving everything up to follow him.